Alrighty, good afternoon, folks. Welcome to my desktop. Chris Varley here with Trade Ideas Support and Education team. I'll give everybody a couple of moments to join the stream before we get going on anything too major. Anybody with questions right away, please feel free to get those in. Don't be shy. Remember, I cannot answer the questions that are not asked. Hello, Truth Seeker. How are you? Again, anybody with questions, don't be shy. Please get those questions in for me. As per usual, I don't have pre-done content on this, right? So I rely on you folks to drive the content with your questions. Stock info panel on your screen. I'm guessing you're looking for this on the charts, or are you looking for the single stock window here? This would be the single stock window, and then we just have some data points that are up here on the charts that you can enable if you want. Just let me know which one you're searching for, and I guess I just go over them both, actually. Why not, right? If you're looking for it up on the charts, just right-click and make sure you have Use Browser Interface selected, and you'll see these arrows, and with those arrows, you can open and close those details. If you're looking for this one over here, the single stock window, you would, on the menu bar, go to New. Okay, give me a hard time, software. That's what I really want right now. That's what I'm in the mood for today. Go to New and single stock window, and you'll get, whatever the default is that you have there. It'll open. And then if you want to customize it at all, you right-click, go to Configure, and you can search for items you want to show the column to. You can see what columns you have already, the order they're in, and left and right. Or excuse me, you can see these are columns that you have selected on the left, and you can move them back to the right to get rid of them. That's what I meant to say. I apologize. And then you can see the order you have these columns in, essentially, and move them back and forth left to right if you want to juggle the data that's in there. Let me know if that makes sense, if you have other questions on that. And again, anybody else with questions on here, please don't be shy. Go ahead and get those questions in for me. Perfect. Got it. Excellent. That's what I like to hear. I like it when we get you sorted like that. And again, anybody else with questions, don't be shy, please. Don't be shy. Tesla getting a buy signal at 11:55 here on the trade wave. So coming in right there. Pretty nice bounce off that bottom here. We'll see how much more it's got in the tank for it. It's pretty beat up over the last several months, but you never know. How do I get the trade wave on my charts? Again, right click, make sure you have browser interface checked, and then you'll look for this FX up here in the top left and just give that a go, and that'll get you the trade wave on your chart. And again, anybody with questions, don't be shy. Please get those questions in for me. If you don't have the FX, that means you don't have browser interface checked. Make sure that you got a check mark in the browser interface. Right click and check that. I'm watching LUNR today, but just not convinced on it here. You can also, on the defaults here, you click the three dots. You can use browser charts by default when you're opening new charts. Go ahead and check that off if you wanted. You also need to be on version software 5.6.104 or 5.6.105. So you go to help and about, you'll see what version you're on. If you're not on 5.6.104 or 5.6.105, you won't be able to get the trade wave. You have to update to that. You can update here on the download page. And again, anybody with questions, don't be shy. Please get those questions in, right? Market seems to be in a go mode today. Start to wonder here, did we correct? And time to continue on in the bull market? Or is this just going to be a sell the rip? We get a bounce and then sell it off again. What's going to happen? Nobody knows, but we got to be prepared for both of those. That's what the trading plan is for. All right, yeah, if you don't have the dots and any of that, that means you're not on the latest software. So if you head to the download page, download the beta. So I shared the link, download this one over here. Download and install that, and then you'll get the FX and the dots. And again, it looks like a light crowd today, but I implore you all not to be shy and get your questions in for me, please. PLD. There. Stocks like this, I always get a little nervous about, in the sense of trying to take a position, because yeah, it's plenty liquid, 10 million shares traded, but look at that relative volume, right? So if, this thing starts selling off, it happens quick. And again, don't be shy, folks. If you got questions for me, get those questions in. Throw those in the chat panels, whether you're on the Twitter side or you're on the YouTube side. Happy to answer those for anybody. Yeah, SPY's got a little bit of a move on it here. I'll bring this chart. No, I can't bring that chart up. I'm not allowed. Work off this chart. SPY is on the move right here. I got a 5-minute chart up there, but putting a few green bars in a row here, so we'll see what happens. I suspect this 580 is going to be a bit of a challenge for it. It gets above that. Next leg to go would really be 580 to 600. See, listen, we've seen it go up that side real fast. We've seen it come down the side real fast. So I'm just going to stay nimble and prepared. A few things to look at here. So again, don't be shy, folks. Anybody's got any questions, please get those in for me here. That's what I'm here for this hour. Got about 48 minutes and change left. What cues look like? Similar here. Looks like 500 will be the target to the upside if it can continue. Diamonds. What we got going on with the Dow? Yeah, pretty much all reflecting each other. Again, the IWM should continue. 220 would be that target, I would say. MTEN. MTEN. We got going on MTEN. Chinese stock, only 200,000 shares traded on the day today, so nothing real major going on there. Had this big spike up a week plus ago. MLGO has been on the run today. That's another China stock. Caps have been coming across the screen a bunch too. Yeah, see those moves there. It was halting here, I bet. Giving most of it back, not giving a lot of it back anyways. See what happens, but that doesn't look real great for buyers on that stock at the moment. KDLY. Another one here, real tough one, grinding higher like that, but that's fighting here below these averages. LOT, L-O-T. Who are you? What are you? Lotus Technology, another China stock. Well, I see a theme here, folks. So yeah, pretty dead here to start the day, and then some pretty serious volume came into it here. Talked about LU and R. It's kind of grinding sideways for a while now. LXEO. Early big opening move here, giving a lot of that back. Now under those averages, the VWAP. So this one, it takes some work if the buyers want to get that price back up there. And EEVA. EVA, something similar here. No, that's not true. Stayed above the VWAP. Did come under this 8 EMA in the cloud for a minute. It's popped back over it. So we'll see what happens here. And again, folks, anybody with questions, please don't be shy. Get those questions in for me. So don't be shy, folks. You got any questions for me? Get those in here. Happy to answer those. Take a tour across some of the sectors, I suppose, while I'm getting the silent treatment here. I'll just work our way down. So, SOXX still leaning kind of heavy down this way. Year to date, picture in picture. And it's bouncing, but again, is it going to be a bounce to fade? Is it going to be a bounce to build on and go higher? That's the questions we ask ourselves here. I think famously, I used to ask a lot of chart questions of some folks, and someone once said, I can give you my 2 cents on it, but ask yourself what you see, right? It kind of changed my perspective on a lot of things that I do, not just in trading, but life. And for the moment, what do I see? What do I see? Does it really matter what I see? Who cares what I see? But yeah, it's under some pressure. It's under some weight right here for sure on the SOXX. And the SMH is going to probably look about the same. They're both the semiconductors. SMH looks a little nicer, actually, to be honest, and it's up on the year compared to the SOXX is down on year to date. Or down on the last year and year to date. The SMH is up over the last year, but down on year to date. So we'll flip on that there like that. And the airlines are real down on the year. They're in correction territory at this point still over the last 2 months. Brokers, dealers. So this is an interesting chart here because this is, going to be your IBs, your Charles Schwabs, any of these brokers that are publicly traded are reflected in this ETF. And while thinly traded, as far as the ETF goes, it's up on the year slightly, but really up over the last year. So, it looks like people are putting money to work in broker accounts and things of that nature. Let's see how much that slows now with this correction, or if we get a bounce, how much it picks back up again. I think it's an interesting metric. There could be something measurable there for the overall market with this. Retail XRT. This has taken a real beating over the last year in correction territory itself here. You know, that does not look great. But it's funny, you know, we've seen this thing reverse real sharply as well. But that's not awesome for now, that's for sure. I'll say the year-to-date chart looks a little better than this chart, but not by a lot. We got there software services. Yeah, marginally, decently up over the last year. Again, over the last 2 months, we're down. You know, extremely thinly traded ETF, extremely thinly traded ETF. Housing ETF here. Not great over the last year. Not as terrible as it could be year to date. You know, you wonder, we come down this way. Can we build off of this now? Or, you know, look, lower highs, lower lows. You know, do we give this up and do we make another lower low with another lower high? You know, what do you say? What do you say? We talked about the IWM already. I don't think we need to go over that again. So your MDY, it's a mid-cap trust. It's equally weighted on the be like the S&P 400, I guess, for your mid caps. And I mean, barely up on over the last year, not really much down year to date. So, you know, it's an interesting look, interesting thought on that there overall. And again, if anybody has questions, I mean, by all means, get the questions in. I'm happy to, I much prefer to answer some questions than go over this. You know, I just don't feel like it's conducive to what you all are subscribed to Trade Ideas for, or many of you at least are subscribed to Trade Ideas for. It's a little more conducive if you have questions on the software that I could answer. But if you don't have questions, you don't have questions. The way it goes sometimes. CLOU, it's going to be your cloud computing. And barely up over the last year, down a bit year to date here. Again, you know, we start to ask, there's a top and we got these lower highs, we got these lower lows, right? Question is that a low, or are we going to make another lower low? Can we build off of this here? You know, I think the cloud computing stocks are gonna, you know, they're gonna have some AI related tailwinds to them. I think that's a fair assumption, a fair assessment, I should say, not assumption. A liked watch list? Yeah, absolutely. So what you'll want to do is come to new on the menu bar, look for a top list, open that top list. Usually going to come with some defaults in it. Just get rid of all the values and the filters that are in there. And then if you don't want anything, you know, if you want to organize your columns, you first come to columns and you'll see your selected columns where your default is over here. And if you want to get rid of any of these, just click on it like so, and then push it back to the right with the arrow to get rid of it. There'll be some recently used or popular columns that are over here. If you want to add any of those, again, you click on it and move it to the left with the arrow. And if you want to add any columns to it that aren't necessarily in here already, if you come to the search, you can search out what you want, select that data point and press show column. All right. Then once you've done that, you're going to come to symbol list. And let me get rid of all these here. You're going to come to symbol list, go ahead, add existing list, and you're going to look for my liked. It's all in alphabetical order. So there's my liked. You see as a personal on the bracket in brackets there, meaning it's your like personal list. You go ahead and excuse me, select that, put a check mark in it, and make sure the drop down menu here says only the following lists. All right. And you'll press OK. And anything that's on your my liked will be displaying just like that. And then To get stocks on and off there, you use the heart symbol on the charts to take them on and off. I recommend this, a big, highly recommend on this here. Every time you do anything in the My Liked list, just come to the accounts, reset your connection a couple of times right there. So, you click a heart on, you reset your connection. If you unheart something, you unheart it and then reset your connection again. Sometimes they get hung up in the server for some reason. You cannot manage, I repeat, you cannot manage your My Liked list from here. It's not possible. I don't have a reason why. I can only tell you that it is that way. The only other way to manage your My Liked list is I'll give you a link that will take you there. Bear with me while I look for that link. There's that link, and that will look something like this here. And you'll see all these symbol lists that are in here, some that you created, a lot that we created. And then you just go ahead and click on, that here, and then you can edit it from here, just like that. And that's how that would work. Let me know if that all makes sense, if you need me to go back over anything. I'll work on that. All right, yep, keep me updated. If you need me to go back over any of that, or there's another question related to that, or a question about anything, by all means, don't be shy. Please get that in here. That goes for everybody. Anybody with any questions whatsoever, please get those in for me. And I guess we'll continue to run down the rest of these ETFs here until. So PBW, that's your clean energy ETF. Pretty unhealthy looking overall. We're to zoom out like 5 years here. Real bad look on that one. Real bad look. So XME, 5-year look looks great. I think it doesn't even look bad for this year right now. 1.61%, considering that we've corrected in the market a bit. Looks all right here for your metals and miners. IYG, your financial services. Also, pretty good look on 5 years. Not terrible look here in the last 2 months, year to date, up to nearly 2 2/3%. Hutch, I have never done a study on something like that whatsoever. I never even know when triple witching is happening, and I don't. I know what it means, but I don't really know what it means. Like I don't pay any mind to it whatsoever. I've never considered it in my entire life. Not that I'm doing this that long, but in my 8 years or so of doing this, I've never once thought to myself, "Oh, it's triple witching today." Like never once. I only know it is happening because people tell me it is. That's all I could really say on that. Something I would personally note is this. We came down on the spine, corrected. Here's 550. We've bounced off of 550. Here is this past Friday. That's Thursday, Wednesday, Tuesday, Monday. There's another Friday that was green. Thursday, Wednesday, Tuesday, Monday, and another Friday that was green. So, and then another Friday that was green here. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4 green Fridays in a row. So, you know, 4 green Fridays in a row and a gap up today. 450 is where we pulled down to. So, I mean, it seems like a reasonable level to look for a bounce. Does that mean it's going to? I don't know. I think without any question that if we don't see a green day today, you know, have the bulls and the buyers real discouraged, real discouraged, right? But I don't know, watching things over the last, near decade, it always feels like the second the market gets you, for me anyways, the second the market gets me leaning really significantly bearish, it always seems to come back and punch me in the face bullish almost every single time. So, I just that's kind of my thought to it right here. But as far as the triple witching goes, your specific question, I don't have an answer. I'm sorry to tell you. All right, got it, perfect. That means I'm taking it that you were all set there with the light symbol list. Excellent to hear, excellent to see. And again, anybody with any questions whatsoever, don't be shy. Please get those in. The cues. So, over the last 5 years, we're really up. Over the last year, we're just up. Year to date, not so hot, not bad either. It's weird to me. Not weird, but I get, the amount of people that are crazy bearish right now on this correction. I guess even when we hit bear markets, I don't feel so bearish. Not like I did when I first started learning this stuff. I was always so like, this is it. It's good. Big crash is coming. But I paid a lot of attention to news back then. And a lot of unscrupulous individuals on Twitter that they weren't there to help anybody. So I guess that's why I don't get so bearish anymore. Like, hey, we're selling off. It happens, right? I think we're since like 1900 or something like that. I think we're in a bull market 80% of the time and a bear market 20% of the time. I guess that's why I lean bullish so much, because 80% of the time we're in a bull market. Giving up the 200. Yeah, I don't really use the 200 personally. I don't. All right, let me rephrase that. I don't use moving averages for the most part, as you can clearly see on my daily chart. I got the trade wave here in the View app, but they're there. On a daily chart, I don't use anything. I've got the trade wave there, but that has nothing. It's it's a very fast moving average set versus the 200 that is not a very fast moving average set. And that's not to discount the 200 day or the 100 or the anything else that people use. I just, for whatever reason, I moved away from moving averages personally. All right, I guess we'll continue to plug along here. Uranium. Not looking real great over the last year. What's it look like over the last 5 years? Well, it's pretty up over the last 5 years. Not too shabby, huh? Year to date, really not hot. Starting off the year around here. Down here. Yeah, SLX going to be steals. extremely thinly traded. It's crazy how up some of these are over 5 years, and people just refuse to be able to buy and hold and just say, I mean, these things just they go up over time. There'll be times where they're down. I mean, I don't know that we've come across anything that's down over the last 5 years, with the exception of clean energy. And I know solar will also be down, but outside of that, like your tried and true areas, all up over the last 5 years. I think that's important to note. Browser interfaces checked. Right, but what version of the software are you on? As we went over at the very beginning, help and about. What does that say for your version of software there? Spy, we've gone over spy plenty at this point. I don't think we need to do that anymore. Oil services. Yeah, a lot of the same here, either barely up or barely down over the last year for the most part. Very up over 5 years. Down, slightly down to pretty down over the last 2 months. This is pretty down over the last year, though. This kind of shocked me, right? Last year, look at that picture there. Not great. Autonomous driving, electric vehicles, mostly just chopping sideways. I find it kind of hard to believe this is even an ETF, and I know I'm nuts for looking at it, but I can't help myself. Good call, Pepe. Didn't think of that. I've run into some people recently that have some minuscule charts and can't really see much of anything on them, to be honest. IHI going to be your medical devices, both over the last year and this year so far to date. Interesting enough. I guess people are buying medical devices, right? Box is going to be some communications, VOX, slightly down over the last couple of months, up a decent amount over the last year. And something I want to note also is communication has been one of the leaders over this entire bull run that we've been on since we started it again, right? So I think that's important. Yeah, sorry, I didn't catch that. That's what Pepe's here. He's that backstop. Always got it in the back pocket. What it is. IYZ. Oh, yeah. So more telecommunications, as we just talked about here. I mean, you can go back. Let's just shorten this up. Let's expand this out. Look over the last couple of years, and start to see those numbers move up eventually here at some point. So over the last 5 years, real up. Over the last year, real up. So communication's been strong overall. KRE going to be the regional banking. It doesn't look awesome. We're kind of curling over. There's a high, low, lower, low. Breaking down a little bit here still. Up on the day, we'll see what happens. These are the kind of things that I'm really looking for today, is what does today close like? That's going to be huge. We can close bullish today. Who knows? Maybe I'll buy a stock if we can close bullish. Transportation. Once upon a time, the transports were used as confirmation. But I don't think people use them quite like they did way back when. It's a little Dow theory for you all. No, not awesome looking here. I mean, really breaking down here on the transportations. That is Not a good candle if you're a bull. BTU. BTU. I mean, it's not a very good looking chart. Also, a million shares traded and all this, no volume on it whatsoever. I mean, could it do something? Sure, why not? But, body in motion will remain in motion until acted upon by another force. And this thing is selling off. So, that other force sure could pump it up, I suppose, right? I mean, pump plenty of other things. But that in itself is not a trading plan for myself anyways. Just curious what this looks like over 5 years. Does not look healthy right now. Long time sideways and then just give it up like that. I mean, clearly, yes, very up over 5 years, very up, but doesn't look healthy in the near term. Also, on a 5-minute chart here, we got a sell signal for the trade wave. That'll look like in 15 minutes, but this is where, beauty in the eye of the chart holder and all those things like that. Give that trade wave a second to load. We've got a buy signal back here, still in that buy for now on that trade wave on the 15-minute, but the 15-minute and 5-minute are arguing with each other. KBE. It's going to be your overall banking ETF for 5 years. Obviously looks decent. Year, not so awesome. Year to date. Percentage-wise, not terrible. Chart-wise, don't look great either. Things are jumping around on me here. Did I skip anything? Yeah, we missed technology. Jumped around on me. Yeah, so tech over the last year, not awesome looking anymore. Really giving that up. Even worse year to date, where a lot of the damage has been done. So yeah, a lot of the same theme all over the place right now. What else? What else? What else? Some of these jumped around on me, so I've missed some stuff. We'll just skip it down. XLF. Oh, this is the best looking of a lot of these ETF charts here. Still up hefty over the last year, marginally over this year, right? That triple top there, if you want to call it, came back down, tested opening lows of the year, it's bouncing now. It doesn't have that lower highs and lower lows look right now. If you're a bull, you'd like to see this here because I don't think there are many bear markets where the financials look healthy. I'd go out on a limb and say there are no bear markets where the financials look healthy. XLF, right? So yeah. I've seen the XLE so far, huh? Maybe down the ways here. There it is, way down there. So, 900 points now is not the same as 900 points 5 or 10 years ago, right? I think of it more on a percent basis. It also a big portion of it is what has the market been trending recently? Has it been chopping? If it's been trending up, and then we get just a surprise drop like that. Like for example, if when we're in a hold on, let me pull up since you asked about the Dow. I don't think Holly is very dependent on the Dow whatsoever. Let's start there because it's 30 stocks. But for the sake of the question, when we're trending up like this, and if we suddenly just got a drop like that, Holly's back testing and everything's saying stay bullish. And all of a sudden we get a surprise drop. Odds are Holly's not going to alert any trades at all when that happens. Just, the way the system is. Just like the reverse, if all of a sudden we're trending down for a long period of time, and we get some huge pop to the upside, Holly, you're more likely to see a Holly alert at that point than you would on the flip side of this, but I wouldn't expect a lot, if anything. I could also say that's likely why you're seeing so few Holly trades today. As we look in the short term here, we've curled over and mostly trended down. We've got this kind of chop here and then this update today. So a lot of the back testing and optimizing is pointing towards the short side here. And then we get this, sizable gap up today, kind of grinding along before a little bit of fade going on now. So that's how I would answer that. Of course, if you have other questions, do not be shy. Please get those in. You got it. Of course, of course. Any other questions? Please, everybody, including Rocky, get those in for me if you have more questions. I got a few minutes before I wrap up for the day here. Well, let's see. Oh, the IBB, looking at our biotechs. Not great looking, but put it in perspective, it's only down just shy of 1% over the last year, and it's actually up so far this year. Chart doesn't look great, to be honest. I mean, grind higher, grind lower, right? But I suppose if it doesn't take this out down here and it could get moving again, that would be a higher low. Get up to this level again, can make a higher high. Of course, if it breaks down, ain't gonna be great, that's for sure. Your biotechs, we talked about communications at nauseum. One more shot at the communications sector, why not? RSP, that is your equally weighted S&P 500. You can see it's actually marginally up, slightly up on the year here, up over the last year to date, I should say, and over the last year to year right now, up 5.25, give or take. So, this is one of those ones here. Look back on that chart and kind of hold this level here and build on it. We're looking up, fighting here and fighting here on those all-time highs. It feels good. We come back down and test this level again, though. If we test that 550 again, I would not be surprised to see us break it by a good little bit. Materials sector, bad over the last year, good over the current year. So I guess that's kind of similar to the IBB when we looked at that, right? We got this low here, and then we quite ground that out. We made a move up, then we're grinding sideways, and now we're grinding down. We could kind of base here, make a move up. Making another high is not out of the realm of this world, and that again would give us the low and a higher low to build off of, as well as a high and then a higher high. Once again, two things I'd be looking at on this is 85. We crack that, we custom that. What's my opinion of Serve? I have no opinion of any stock. However, we could look at it technically, and we could say it's going to be one of those speculative stocks because it's robotics. So already I'm looking at speculators. But personally, let's see, what do they actually do here just before I get into all this? Yeah, zero emission robots. I mean, yeah. I think this got, pumped on hopium here. And then, as it started to sell off, you had that natural reaction bounce here. Second attempt, rejected at that level. Sellers took right a hold of it, right through earnings, same thing. And I wouldn't be expecting a whole lot from this. I mean, first you're going to have them do something really significant to get buyers interested again. And once you do that, you got these levels to work through. It's going to likely be some of these kind of whole number levels. What I will say is this, because the stock did it once. Come on. Because it did it once with this move here, and we saw it. Did it once here, and then did it back here, right? Those things I'd be looking at to say it just takes some kind of press release with this thing to have it go shooting off again. Will it have that press release again? Your guess is as good as everybody else's. And press releases, waiting on press releases for a stock is not a trading strategy, right? Because for all we know, they never come up with anything else that's catchy again or snazzy, and the stock continues to bleed, right? So it's not something I'd be holding my breath on. But I would, I'd certainly pay attention to it if it ever makes a move again. I would also note that, these moves like, 1, 2, and then gave it up. And then look how choppy and terrible that was. And then 1, 2, faded, pop, and a big fade after that, right? So this doesn't look like it goes on long-term runs to this point. In the past, you might have, if you've ever been around, you hear me, stocks have personality, right? This doesn't look like it really goes on runs. It looks like it, makes us moves up. This here was a symbol change, I believe. So it wasn't this stock back here when it made this big drop that here. I'm going to move that out of the way. When it made this big drop, this was not the stock it is now, right? So I think this was the IPO / symbol change for this here when it was grinding away and made a big move up, pull back and a big move up. So that's, what I'd be looking at on that here. You're going to need a catalyst because obviously earnings was not a positive catalyst for this stock for whatever reason. They do not go over earnings reports. But that would be my 2 cents in short and skinny on that. Real estate. Look at that, real estate up over last year and real estate up this year so far. I did not have that on my bingo card. XOP is going to be your oil and gas exploration. Not looking great over the last year. Not looking good so far this year. It's a mixed bag with energy. We got a couple of minutes left before I shut down for the day here on this side of things. There's the XLE. If anybody has any questions, before I wrap up here, please. So it's funny. Look the XLE, slightly up over the last year, up a good little bit here year to date. Look at that's the XLE, the XOP. I mean, A complete flip story on it. Interesting. It's very interesting. But I would say this: when energy prices are low, people are not drilling for more wells and things like that because it costs a lot of money to drill those wells and maintain them and things like that. And if the money is not coming in from the commodity itself, they don't have a reason to take it out of the ground. That's how it works. So, like that or hate it. I mean, as a consumer of gas from a car, I'm not a fan of that, but those are the basics of the economics. FXI, what do we got going on here? So China, bit of a holding pattern here going on, but man, move, move. You got to ask yourself, man. It's going to cup and handle itself up. China looks good. Yeah, you're welcome, Hutch. You're welcome. China looks good. Yeah, again with Serve, I think you're just going to be tied to some news releases and things like that. That's not, quote, a bad thing, right? I just suspect that they don't have some like major business model that's pumping in revenue and things like that. I'd suspect. I didn't look at it. I would suspect. Current revenue 1.1 million. Current debt 2.34 million. Right. So, those are things that I keep in mind, and I wouldn't pay overly much attention to the fact that they have 123 million in cash because they're burning through cash right now. So this is probably what they raised, right, through their public offerings and bonds, whatever else that they've done for raising funds here. And so right now, they're burning through that while they're a not profitable company. So I think that's always very important to keep in mind when people have a long-term view on a stock. Like, it's fine if you have a long-term view on a stock that's losing money, but if you don't see a pathway to that stock becoming profitable, that's a problem, right? That's a problem. Like, if you're doing something like that, you should be like deep into the books of that stock and their, executive team and things like that. You really want to be into that. When I'm doing technical analysis on a stock and I'm looking at a long-term hold on it, if a stock looks like it's losing money and I don't really know who they are or what they do, and I can't see a path that they're going to be making money, that's a big red flag for me. All right, what chart do we want to end with as I wrap this up? Gold, right? Let's end with two. I like to pick on the solars. This chart looks like complete doo-doo. I mean, every time there's a buy, it gets sold. Every single time. At some point, it will stop going down. It'll either go to zero or we'll get a bounce. But, I want to see it, base and then begin to build off of that base, right? I'm sure many people would love to see solar power work great. Sun's up there. It doesn't cost any money, but the logistics of solar power are just not realistic at this point for whatever reason. And that's reflected here by the stock prices of solar stocks. So, all right, last chart I'll end on here, gold. It ain't sexy, but man, is it moving, right? I mean, you just get this slow move here nonstop over the last few years. I mean, just, look at this here. Pause and up, little pause and up. Ask ourselves, is this just going to keep continuing? Especially, I don't think anybody's buying the argument or the narrative that inflation's under control. I think anybody that's, anybody that doesn't have, let's say, 7 figures in the bank, they're still feeling the pain at the register everywhere they go. And for whatever reason, gold is still a hedge against inflation. Can't do anything with gold. I mean, can't buy anything with it. Can't really do anything. But that's that. So I'm not using any channel. It's just my own layout that I created. I don't use channels. I just have my own very simplistic layout here. So that is that. So, all right, folks, it's 1 o'clock. Coming to the top of the hour. I've got some meetings coming up, some emails that I have to respond to now. So I thank you all very kindly for hanging with me for the hour. I appreciate the interactions that we had. Just keep an eye on things here. I don't like the saying dead cat bounce, but are we going to have a false start here back above some levels to take us out of the out of correction territory? I don't know. They're all big days. You're going to get a lot of people telling you out there that it's a big day out there on the market. They tell you that all the time, right? Just digest it like every other day. And look, we close bullish today, and you see some bullish stuff that you like, and you got a plan behind it. Trade that plan. And if we close bullish today and you got some stuff that you're bullish about and you have no plan, I wouldn't be trading anything without a plan. That's just how it is in life. And those that trade without a plan will be punished over and over again. And that's the way it goes. All right. I thank you all again very kindly. You have a wonderful rest of the week. And we will see you on the next one. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye.